Good afternoon and welcome to Metro Home Theater Tech Tips. I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
And we're ready to get going with an exciting program today. So Adam, what is today's topic?
Well, today's topic is, Brent, well actually before we get there, hold on, because we've got some really interesting things that you may see in the camera shot.
Is this the neener thing?
This is the quote-unquote elephant in the room. You may even call it a monolithic figure of the room. You know, that thing that they found over in where...
Can I point at it?
If you want to, yeah. Neener.
Just for those of you who are big-time gamers, just so you know, neener.
So we're super excited about having it. I need to fix this camera because something weird is happening over here. We're gonna go...
We got ours. Do you have yours?
There we go. So,
now, obviously, in our case, this is legitimately for testing purposes.
Yes. We will. I will be playing. I'm sorry, testing. A couple games later on. We're really excited about it. Or we were able to get one. So the next plan right now is that we found out that with the new HDMI cables and everything that are being released, in fact, our current Velox AOC cables doing the 48 gigs. We have found some interesting things. This Samsung TV that we just put up,
the 900 2.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not going to cut it.
Nope.
Yeah. So we're actually going to be...
you know, there's things you don't know till you know.
Yep.
And we brought this in yesterday, and Adam and Stuart quickly got it unboxed, hooked up. We went through the setup, through all the updates and all the other groaning, miserable things you have to do to own one of these.
Yep.
And started going through the settings, and by this time Adam was off to lunch, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know it was killing him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yes, yeah, what, no 120?
Yeah.
But
nope.
Wait, no?
Yeah. So,
change the cable just to make sure.
Yep.
Nope.
So this TV, unfortunately, what it comes down to is this TV can't do 4K 120, so we were having to upgrade to one of the new LGs.
99s.
The 99s, so we're super excited about that. And
by the way, thank you, Dorrance.
Yep, exactly. And so we're going to be getting that up there. So back to the topic on hand, of course. Everybody, thank you so much for checking us out today. If you have any questions about what we're talking about, of course, you can leave it over in the chat section over here. If you are watching this after the fact, you can put it down in the comment section down below. As always, you can contact us here for technical support, or if you just want to say hi at 386-492-8584. Or, of course, you can reach us on our website, metrohometheater.com. As always...
If you are sending gratuities and our money, you can contact us directly.
Sure. As always, a like, share, and a subscribe is very, very helpful.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah, all the different places. So, with that, Brent, your mic sounds horrible. What did you do to it?
I don't know. What did I do to it? Is it location?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, we'll figure that out.
Is my gain off?
It might be. You are clipping, haha.
So my gain is off.
Yep. Try that one more
hold
time.
while we fix.
And I'm going to gain myself up just a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit better. How does that sound,
Testing
everybody?
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right.
So
we'll try that.
What is today's topic?
Today's topic is, let me get my little button here to get that all figured out. And we'll hit that again. So, Brent, today's topic is, who's on first, what's on second?
No, who's on third?
No. Who's on first?
No, who's on third?
What's on second?
No, what's playing shortstop?
Oh, I have no clue. You've lost me now.
No,
I know.
Children. So today's topic really is about
EDID management.
EDID, what it is, why it is, and how you're going to control it. Now, EDID is a lot of things.
Yeah. So, and actually that comes to our first question of the day, which is, of course, what is EDID? Now, this is just a recap. So, Brent, what is EDID? What?
Well, hello there.
Hi. Who are you?
EDID is all about negotiations, and it starts with a simple 5-volt send to a display.
Yep.
The display may or may not the first time, second time, or third time respond with hot plug, which basically is what?
Yep.
What do you want? Why are you bothering me?
Yep.
And at that point forward, everything that has to happen for your source, AVR, matrix, whatever else is in line, and display to negotiate has to be done.
Right.
Now, a simple system, let's just assume a source and a display, maybe your brand new Xbox Series X, it will query the television and say, can you do this?
Right.
And the nice thing about the Xbox One X, or excuse me, Series X, is it actually shows you the queries and the answers.
Yeah.
Can you do 4K? Yes, I can. Can you do this? Yes, I can. Can you do that? No.
Right.
That is all part of EDID.
Right.
Now, the Xbox Series X is unusual in that you can see the responses.
Roku also has, or used to have anyway, something very similar where it would show all the yeses and all the nos as to
let you know what you're capable of.
Exactly. It's really handy to know that, because now you know for sure, should I be getting that based on EDID information, what it says it's capable of. Now, and here's the thing.
It's not always honest.
So I can say I can lift 200 pounds with no problem whatsoever, but if I actually go over there and try and lift up something that's 200 pounds, I'm probably not going to lift up 200 pounds pretty easily. It's going to take me quite a bit of grunting and forcing, and maybe I'm going to be able to get it up off the ground. So I probably should have given myself a higher weight to say that I couldn't.
No, I'm willing to believe.
Are you
in
going
fact,
off that?
you know,
Okay.
I'm going to go with the 100.
100. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Well, you know, what can I say?
So
I have faith in you.
I appreciate that. No, almost had it there. So with that said, so that's kind of an overview of what EDID is. It's basically just the connection between the source device and the next device in line, or the first device and the next device and the next device and the next device.
And the intelligence so it knows what to do and how to do it.
Exactly.
And honestly, this is the vast majority of fails that are seen in the field. It is typically not the video or audio that's failing, even if that's not working.
Yeah.
It is typically the management of the EDID.
Right.
Now, with cable boxes and other things, we can see voltage issues and our hot plug problems.
Right.
But they're still the lower number of problems that we see in the field. Basic EDID management is what we need to understand to make systems work reliably and consistency.
Right. So with that said, Brent, now that we have a better overview of what EDID is, or you know how.
And by the way, there's some great videos that we've already done in much greater depth and detail on EDID.
Yes. So definitely check those out. There are on the YouTube channel. Of course, finish off this live stream with us.
You don't leave us yet.
Yeah, not yet. Well, you'll be able to find those later on. But we
and
definitely
if you
do
have any
recommend
specific questions, contact us, call us, and we're happy to answer them for you.
And we'll do it here in the chat as well. You can put it over here to the side, put it in the chat. We'll answer those questions here live on the stream as well.
I'll make a video specifically about it.
Yeah, we've actually done that a couple times already, so a really good question has
if you guys got good questions, we are happy to make videos for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, continue on.
Okay, so let's do the next question for what today's topic is based on. So the next thing that we have, of course, is why should you manage EDID?
Well, that's simple. Because everything in the system has to know what you're capable of.
Right.
Because different devices have different capabilities.
Yeah.
As we learned on the Samsung here.
Yep.
Because this is capable of 120.
Yep.
This isn't.
Right.
Now, some devices may give you a faux happy sign.
Right.
And it says, well, yeah, till you actually send it the content.
Yep.
And not every device will properly reply to the questions. We've certainly seen lots of issues, particularly in the early days of the Apple TV, where it would spit out 444 and the display would say, no, I can't take that. So the Apple TV would not adjust.
You're right.
You had to go in and manually turn it down. Even though the display could not do it and never could do it,
Right.
it did not say, no, stop, I can't do that.
And then finally Apple realized the error of their ways,
Yes,
which
and
doesn't happen very often.
No,
when it
but
comes
thank
to
you, Apple.
Yeah, right? They went out and put that firmware update out. So, and honestly, it comes down to why should you do it is even more so you don't want
because
problems.
of those.
Yeah, you don't want problems in the system for when you walk away. Because the whole point of doing all of this is we all want to make some money. We want to do a good job for our clients so that they'll have us come back and do other jobs or spread the word around for us. And if you put a system out there that on paper it looks great, and it is great, but it's not properly managed for the EDID, then you're going to get callbacks, you're going to have problems.
Absolutely. One of the things to look at is what are the capabilities?
Right.
And when you're setting up, if you have EDID management devices, of which we have several that Adam will go into detail about,
Yep.
what you want to do is you don't want to allow an open end to your system.
Right.
You want to say, okay, I've looked at all my devices, I've looked at my common denominator.
Yeah.
Where do I actually want to be? It's just like doing lighting program. You never want to go to 100% on a bulb.
Sure.
You want to bring it back just a little bit. You want to have some headroom there.
Yeah.
So if you really can't properly support 4K 60, set your EDID management to 4K 30.
So there's a couple things that we need to look at with that. Let's break down to the a couple different types of systems so that we can better understand how we're going to manage those systems. So
Okay.
one, let's start with the most basic. I have an Apple TV and a Samsung an Apple TV streaming device, and I have a Samsung TV hung on the wall with just a short little 2-meter HDMI cable in between them.
Okay. So the basics of that system is, assuming it's a quality HDMI cable, preferably an ethereal.
Yep.
There is no limitation within the cable of any HDMI format currently available, including 2.1.
Right.
So now we have to, so we can eliminate the cable as a limiting factor.
Right.
So what do we have to look at in the source and the display, what their feature sets are, but not just their feature sets, we also have to know which terminals those feature sets are available on.
Exactly. So then we have, from the most basic system, let's go up to a slightly higher base system. So we're going to go from just a simple single streaming device, Apple TV, to a Samsung TV. Let's throw a couple more sources in there and an AVR in place. So we'll have, let's say we'll have an Apple TV, a cable box, and maybe an Xbox.
Okay.
So we've now added those devices in there. I'm going to limit ourselves to just HDMI 2.0 specifications for now.
Okay, so we're at 18 gig.
We're at 18 gigs, and of course we'll still keep the same Samsung TV. Then we'll go into the more advanced series systems where we have multiple sources going into a matrix of some kind, and then from that matrix we'll go out to multiple displays. So
okay, now there's several positions in, let's step back. We did our basic system, source, and display.
Yep.
Now things we need to know there is, what do we need to not have happen between the source and the display?
Right.
So we have to set settings inside the source.
Yes.
And for years we would have to get into the Apple menu, scroll down, and make sure that 4K 444 was turned off.
Yep.
So, because it created problems.
Yep.
And then you had to look at color depth. If you had an Oppo, for example,
Yeah.
you could give it 4K 60, 444, 12-bit.
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, you can't. I don't care what it says on that menu, you can't.
You better hope that there's one of those things that does the countdown and flips it back over.
Yes.
Or else, especially at that, because at the time there was nothing that could view that except for some.
And you just get a black screen.
Exactly.
And you're wondering why.
Yeah.
So you have to understand your hardware. We're not even talking about any of your specific EDID management tools.
Right.
Just your hardware.
Right. The display,
And
the
a good
source,
example,
and things like that.
We took a tech call this week. A guy is building a gaming system out in Texas.
Yep.
And they had a source that was capable of outputting 4K 120.
Yep.
And they wanted to know, should we use DisplayPort with adapters or HDMI? And we got all the content, all the information together, and the displays didn't even have a DisplayPort input on them.
Right.
The displays couldn't support 4K 160.
Yep.
It had the LG A9 chip,
Yep.
but on that size,
Yeah.
and there was little asterisks. You had to go all the way deep into the data to find out that particular spec television
Yes.
would not do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So all the effort is suddenly out the window.
Yep. Yep.
So you have to understand your hardware before you even get to managing it.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and jump into how do we manage EDID, right?
Well, we have several ways of doing that, and most of those currently are under Adam's purview. He's in charge of that.
Kind of. Well, maybe a assistant manager,
really gonna
assistant.
toss it?
Yeah. No, I'm going to go down a little bit. It's somebody else's problem. So, with that said, how do we control EDID? So there's a couple things first. Let's start with that super basic system. Now, there's a couple things that, like you said, we have to take into account first. One, what are the capabilities of your source and your display? And look at the instructions that come with those devices. Go onto the website, contact tech support for those devices, ask them what is it fully capable of at the highest end and at the lowest end.
And call us. Look, if we don't have the answer, we will research it, because if you're calling, somebody else is going to call.
Yep, exactly.
And we want to know.
So let's look at that basic system then. So let's say I've got that Samsung TV and I've got the Apple TV. So pretty straightforward system. We've got an Apple TV, and this is not the 4K one. This is the 1080p, but we're going to pretend, right? So we got an Apple TV that's a 4K. So it's capable of HDMI 2.0 specifications, which means that we have a total of 18 gigabits per second to use. Now, we have the capabilities of 4K 60 HDR. We also have Dolby Vision capabilities on here, which means that we can go all the way up from 8-bit, 10-bit, all the way up to 12-bit. We also have chroma subsampling, so we can either do the full RGB 444, or we can go down to 422 or 420. Actually, I think they dropped 422 as an option in this. I think it's just 420 on the Apple TV. Now, on the display, again, this is a 2.0 display. This is not a 2.1 display, because that's a very big thing to understand as well. But the TV itself only is capable of, it can do 4K 60, it can do 444.
But not at the same time.
None of that. Well, unless it's 8-bit.
8-bit.
If it's 8-bit, it'll do that. Now, if it's 4K 60 HDR, then you're going to have to lose some chroma subsampling.
And why is that? What is about HDR that causes the problem?
So,
and this is a tough question.
Yeah. So, which was something that I had to wrap my own head around. And before we go too far, everybody, again, thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments about what it is we're talking about, put it over here in the chat section, and let us know what EDID problems have you run into out in the field when it comes specifically to management. Now, not necessarily to how to fix EDID.
The repair is a whole different topic.
Correct. Yeah, repair
and
needed.
We'll cover that on another video because that gets a lot more in depth.
Which that is honestly one of our bread and butter pieces. Look at the AIO2, sorry, the
Junior
HDM
3
AIO2 and the HDM
Junior 3.
Yep.
And also the GA2 and the GA1.
Yep, exactly. So, but that's an entirely different topic. Today we are going to be talking about specifically management. So, with our TV, of course, we have 4K 60, we have 444 capabilities. I'm not saying all at once. HDR and Dolby Vision. We can do 12-bit.
So we don't have a Samsung TV.
Oh, you're correct.
Because what does Samsung not support?
Dolby Vision.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that's one really big thing to understand, the fact that, yes, the Apple TV is capable of Dolby Vision. However, the Samsung is not. They do not have a Dolby Vision
There are other
TV.
ones that don't support Dolby Vision.
Correct. And in fact, it goes in a different direction as well, which we're going to be doing next week is our HDR episode. And I've been doing a lot of research on that to make sure that I give you all good information. But holy smokes, there's a lot of information out there for HDR and a lot of wrong information as well. That, again, I want to make sure that I get all that out there with good information for you. But, so, yes. In this situation, managing the EDID is very important, because if I turned on 4K 30 HDR, Dolby Vision, 422 or 420, you know, let's not max it out, right? Let's do 422 or 420. It's still not going to work, or it's going to look wrong. It's going to look faded. It's going to look, you know, just something's going to be off about it, or you're just not going to work at all. So, in that scenario, what's the problem?
Wait. What's the first thing they call and complain about?
Your cable's messed
cables.
up. Yeah, come on, your cable's messed up, obviously, right? I mean, it's not anything else. It worked fine when I first plugged it in. As soon as I changed something else, obviously it's your cable. Your cable's not able to do Dolby Vision.
Yeah.
That's
a joke.
That's a really big joke, because it doesn't matter. But that's anyways. So in that scenario, it's really easy to fix a problem from a single source to a single display. Change your options inside of the source device.
Which is EDID.
Yes.
All you're doing is, it's not just what this does, it's what this is telling the display it can do.
Right.
And once that's negotiated, everything else is easy.
Now, this is really prevalent when it comes to sources. Unlike the Apple TV actually does a really good job of making sure that it gives you content that your display is able to use. It first talks to the TV and says, can you do EDID, or can you do this, this, or this? And if the display responds back that it can't, it doesn't even give you the option. Apple TV did a very good job with that, so I have to give them props
on the 12.1 and higher iOS.
Now, the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One X and the One S are capable of 4K 60 HDR Blu-ray on the S, and then gaming on the X. Those also do something very similar. They will first check with the TV.
Right, they query the EDID.
Now, computers, DVRs, cable boxes, they're a little bit more dumb. And so, you owe me a soda, Jinx. So with that in mind, you have to then take over management of that. You have to go into the settings and make sure, okay, I changed something here and I've lost picture. Why? go into the settings and find out what did you change, because a lot of times if you change one setting, it actually changes another setting, and sometimes it doesn't tell you that it's changed.
Right, because
that.
HDR frequently is connected to color depth.
Exactly. So you go from 8-bit to 10-bit if you turn on HDR.
Or 12-bit if you turn on Dolby.
Exactly. And so if you do something like that, you have now increased past the 18 gigabit capabilities, or of either the output or the television.
Or the length of the cable, or everything downstream. On topic, but not. Got a call this week. Guys got an Apple TV 4 going into one of our audio extractors, going to an old 1080p plasma.
Yeah.
Now it's not working.
Right.
Why?
So that's really a fun one, because the audio breakout switch has EDID of its own.
Yes.
So and actually, in fact, every switch and every splitter should technically have a little bit of EDID of its own.
Some level of control.
Yeah. Now, with this piece here, what's happening is that the Apple TV 4th generation, I'm assuming it was a 4K if it was having problems.
It was.
So with a 4K Apple TV going into our splitter, it was saying, oh, you're an 18 gig, you're an HDMI 2.0 device, I'm going to go ahead and give you 18 gigs. However, what was happening is that it was not getting the information from the TV sent all the way back
to lock it down to 1080.
Exactly.
And even if you lock this down,
Apple TV likes to do its own thing.
Steps back. It's the same problem with computers.
Yep.
It's the same reason we have the EDID blocker on NVR DVRs.
Yep.
Because even though you shut it off,
it's still
seeing it. Yeah, try to turn off traction control completely on your car.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you drive one that doesn't have it to begin with. That's the most fun. Like a Jeep. Like my Jeep.
You mean an old Jeep?
An old Jeep. Yeah, exactly.
So what's the solution in that case?
So in that case, Brent, actually, I'm going to ask you, Brent, what is the solution in that case?
1080p Apple TV.
1080p Apple TV, right?
Because that's the only, because as long as the Apple TV is capable of going there,
it's going to try
It's going there.
Yeah. So now, there is another solution to that.
An EDID management device that locks it down.
Yes. So
where there's no other options.
Which you would put that on the inside of the switch. And when I mean inside, I mean on the source side of the switch.
Between the source and the switch.
You could also, on the output, you could put our 1x2 splitter scaler on the output.
They will automatically take it down.
Exactly.
Which is another great way to handle that, because it doesn't care what's incoming.
Yeah.
It negotiates the outgoing.
So, and actually I'm looking here to see if I have one of them out here, and I do not have one set
And the really sad statement is I forgot all about that yesterday when I took that call.
Yeah, you didn't think to
I didn't even think about that.
So with that, and actually if you're watching the video, I'm hopefully you told them about our videos. If you're watching the video, that is another option
Call and
for you as well.
chastise me, because it's my fault.
I'd love to hear that too, by the way.
I'd share something with you, but we're live.
Yeah. So there's a on the front of the 1x2, the 1x4, and the 1x8 splitter scalers. There's actually a switch on the front of it, and this goes into EDID control.
Yes, it does, because 3 positions. 3.
There you go. I was going to say
3.
you made it to school today, didn't you? You made it.
No, they're all, wait a minute. I can do 3 that way. They're old.
So the front of it has copy, mixed, and
auto.
Now, what will happen with that is copy will copy the EDID of the primary output of the splitter. Now, the primary output of the 1x2 is output 1, of the 4 it's output 4, and on the 8 it's output 8. Now, that's neither here nor there, but
unless
the important thing is,
set one up and call us.
Yeah. The important thing there is that it's going to copy the EDID of whatever display is plugged into that output. That's important because, again, we're managing the EDID in that scenario. There's also, of course, from copy, we have the option for auto. Now, auto is going to make it work. It's actually going to override the EDID information coming from the displays that are connected to it. It's going to instead say, I am a 4K 60 HDR television with bitstream audio and yada, 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 and it will just do it. Now, what that's going to do, again, we're managing the EDID because it's a scaling device, it really doesn't need to give any other kind of EDID information, because it's learning from the televisions what they need, and it's just handling it on its own. It's converting the picture.
But it's still allowing the source to give it the best possible picture.
Exactly. So if you have that splitter and you have, say, 2 1080p televisions, or if you have an early HD
and a 4K without HDR.
Exactly. When you still want to get the best possible picture out of it, put it on auto. Go ahead and give your source the EDID that it wants for the highest picture quality possible. Pardon me.
For that system.
For that system, and then let the scaler then scale it down from there. By the way, it's a really great scaler because it's able to take whatever picture it is, output it there. There's no lag between the different displays.
It is awesome.
I was really happy with it. I'm sorry, we had our Sony when it was still here. We had a 1080p television over here.
A 720
back in there, and we have a non-HDR over there, and they all looked great.
And no delays, no sync issues. It was just
it looked great. So that's one way to do it. Now again, there's one last option on there is the mixed. Now the mixed is more like a classic HDMI splitter. An HDMI splitter in that case will then instead take all of the outputs and find the highest common denominator between them.
Which if it's 720, if you have one 720 display,
Yep.
I don't care what the other ones are, it's a 720 system.
We're now doing a 720 system. So that's a really important thing to look at as well when you are looking at that. Hey, Leo, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining
Leo.
the chat. It was great to talk to you earlier today as well. And of course, the experts, it's great to see you on there as well. And of course, our good friend Spoink Fok on there as well. So,
Who?
Yeah, anyways. Thanks everybody for joining the video today. If you have any questions or anything else about what's going on, put it over in the chat section over here. If you're watching this after the fact, put it down in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe is always helpful to us as well. So now that we've gone from the Apple TV to our switcher with the audio breakout and to the television that's 1080p, and it's not working, that's okay. We found solutions. We have two solutions, right?
One is to step back to a non-4K Apple TV.
Yep.
The better solution, which this idiot didn't think about yesterday,
putting the scaler on the outside.
put in the scaler, and the problem would have gone away anyway.
Exactly.
And you could have kept...
Yep, exactly. So,
I'm sorry.
let's step up from that simple system. Let's step up into the intermediate system. We'll call it that.
An
right?
AVR.
An AVR. So we have our Apple TV. We have a cable box. We have an Xbox One X.
Okay.
In that situation. Let's keep it at 2.0. We won't get into 2.1 until a little bit later on.
I know you keep pointing that out, though.
It's so nice. I mean, it's so just... look, I mean, it's just... I'm a nerd, and I gotta look at these things. It's just
our own
great
monolith.
to have it on there. It's just, yeah.
It's a mystery monolith.
I can't wait for the LG TV to get here so I can actually try out the 120 hertz refresh rate. I have yet to see a 120 hertz refresh rate in person.
To the best of my knowledge, I have not either.
So I'm excited about it. We're actually going to find, it's a racing game. It's Dirt 5 is what we're going to be using on it to actually try it out. So I'm kind of excited about it to see what happens. Okay.
I'll spend all my time in the dirt because I will crash early and often.
Sure. So, and here's what's fun. We still have the controller from the Xbox One.
Which works also?
Which works on the Xbox Series X, so we can race.
So I know what your lunches are.
Yeah, pretty much. So, in this intermediate system, it's the same setup. Now, what are we looking for as problems here?
Well, every time you add an additional step, you, first off, and future episode, you have to worry about EDID repair.
Yes.
Because every additional step adds loss.
Yes.
Adds different voltage and current values. Adds trace equalization problems.
Yep.
I don't care who makes it. Remember, it's not a single device that causes the failure.
Yep.
It's a combination, a culmination of all the devices that cause the failure. It's the last straw on the camel's back.
Yep.
With an AVR, depending on the level of AVR, determines how good the board is.
Right.
And the feature set. Some AVRs allow tremendous EDID control.
Yep.
Some, not so much.
So without going into detail about the differences between the better ones and the worst ones, let's go to our favorite, Sony.
Okay.
And
because it's easy.
It's very easy.
And it's got a great IP online setup menu.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we still really like the others. Denon and Marantz is probably my second favorite out of all of them.
I have an Onkyo Integra at home.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that said, when we look at the Sony, the capabilities that it has are great because it has individual control of all its inputs. Correct?
Yes.
So
well, most of them do. It's just how easy it is to do it.
Right. So with that said, when you go into it, you have your different sources going into the inputs. You can go in and you can actually tell it, hey, this input here is an enhanced input. This other input is a non-enhanced input. Now
that's darn important.
So Brent, why is that important?
Well, let's take a look at this again.
Yep.
In an enhanced input, it's going to do HDR and deep color.
Right.
Now, HDR and deep color are additional layers of EDID and metadata.
Yep.
And you have to open that channel up. You have to say, okay, I can handle this enhanced
Yeah.
metadata and this additional layer of EDID.
Yep.
And that's great between this and the AVR and the display, assuming they all do it.
Right.
However, if you open up a channel like that to a cable box or an old Blu-ray player or an NVR, DVR, suddenly you're speaking Klingon to it.
Yep.
Because it doesn't know what that advanced level is.
Yep.
And it just goes, ah, and shuts off.
Yep. And so at that point, then we're now managing the EDID of what's happening there. So using that layout, we have our cable box, which is not capable of an enhanced signal, which when we look at enhanced versus non-enhanced, the best way to look at it is we are now just taking that pipe and we are opening it up entirely to a full 18 gigs. And in the HDMI 2.0 world, we're going from like a 10.2 up to an 18 gig.
See, I always look at it as bilingual.
Yeah, I mean, it's
because there's two different additional languages to support the HDR and the deep color.
And it's almost like it's almost like going from slang to a proper language, because you have the dumbed down version of it being the slang,
EDID for dummies?
Yeah, where it doesn't have everything that it needs to do the higher speech that it needs.
Florida Man?
No, Florida. Well, yeah, Florida Man. Yeah, there you go. So that's why for me, you're just opening up the gates a little bit. You're going from a 10.2 gig world, which was the
1.4 chipset,
and then now we're going up into a 2.0 world where we have 18 gigs, and now that increases the amount of
interesting, it's not just 2.0.
Right.
It's 2.0A.
Yes.
Because that A chip is what allowed for that additional metadata and EDID to support the deep color and the HDR.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, I needed to say this. Last week, on our episode, our chat got messed up. So I really apologize. We had I went back and looked at the chat. There were some great topics and conversations that were happening in the chat. And unfortunately, the YouTube chat did not work during that time.
I don't even remember last week's episode.
And so the problem was that we didn't know that they were talking. And so I'm really sorry for not responding to you guys last week at that time, but our chat was not working. I went back and looked at it again and didn't find a good way to respond to them after the fact.
He's sorry.
We're sorry for that, but unfortunately it's one of those things where we had no control over it. Thanks to YouTube, it just wasn't working right. So with that in mind, we'll go back to what's going on. So
source AVR display.
When we go from our source device to our AVR, let's take our Apple TV and we'll take a cable box. Now, cable box is not capable of a full HD 2.0.
No HLG, no HDR, no 4K.
Right. Now, our Apple TV is.
Yes.
So, like you said, it's going to hear Klingon. It's going to say, ah, and stop, right? And for the cable box.
Right.
Now, the Apple TV speaks fluent Klingon because it's a Trekkie and understands what's going on.
And it's happy.
Yeah. So, it's good to go. Now, the TV, at that point, doesn't care because it is after the AVR, and the AVR is handling everything there. So...
Well, now... Not entirely, because you also have to set the TV to enhanced.
Right.
And if Dolby Vision's available and your audio, if the audio is being captured by the AVR, that's great.
Yes.
It's done. It's over. But you still have to support all the additional feature sets of Dolby Vision, HDR, HDR Plus, HLG, HDR 10. It's 10 and 10 and plus.
Yeah, so there's, right? So HDR is an over-encompassing thing. HDR 10 is what we would call HDR.
Or HDR 1000,
and then HDR
which is
1000,
LG
which is
or
basically the same thing. HDR 10 plus, and then of course Dolby Vision. Now, you're right. So
but that's next week.
Yeah. We really need to make sure, of course, that the TV still has what it's capable of doing, and it's turned on the way that it's supposed to from the AVR.
And a lot of our tech calls come down to walking dealers through proper setup of the display, the AVR, a matrix if one's there, and their sources. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It's not a cable. It's not an extender. It's none of those.
Nope.
It's just EDID management throughout the system.
Yeah. So in that scenario, what do? We go ahead and turn on, first off, we turn on enhanced mode on the TV. We
got to start at the end of the line and work back.
Right. So we know that the AVR is capable of enhanced mode, so it's an HDMI 2.0 world AVR, or SPECT AVR is a better way to say it. And then from the AVR to the TV, it's good there. So that part of it's good and ready to go. We've got Dolby Vision capabilities across the way. We have HDR 10, not plus, because it's a Sony. And then, of course, it's doing a full 444 capability. Not that it's using it, but it's capable of it. and of course 4K 60.
And Atmos.
And Atmos, which of course the AVR is handling the Atmos of it. So, unless of course we're doing something like
a soundbar.
Like a soundbar, or ARC to get the audio back, or eARC to get the Atmos audio back. So, now at the source side, we've got the cable box and we've got the Apple TV. Now I need to go into the settings of the Sony AVR and say, hey, cable input 1 needs to be set to enhanced mode off. Now, like Brent was saying, it really does come down to the fact that it's a different language. If you were to turn it on and leave it on for that, and my way of saying it, where it would be from going from a small to a large, that doesn't really work for it, because Brent's right. It really is just a different language that it gets caught up in it and doesn't know what to do with it, right? So then at that point, you need to go ahead and make sure it's set to non-enhanced or turn off enhanced mode for that input. Sony has a really good instructions inside their manual for how to do that. So definitely look into that and make sure that
not every device has sensible instructions.
Yeah, which we are also in that category of not having the greatest instructions, but hopefully we're going to be working through that, right?
Sure. You're not pointing at me, are you?
Anyways.
Yeah.
So the Apple. So now the Apple TV, though, it is capable of a full HDMI 18 gig 2.0 world.
Dolby Vision, blah, blah, blah.
All that kind of good stuff. So on its input, we need to make sure it's set to enhanced mode. Right?
On its output.
Exactly. So when it comes to AVRs really handle a lot of that stuff. Make sure you've got a good AVR. So let's say we have a bad AVR, one that does not give us independent control over the inputs. Let's say it's just a global control. So
frequently the only answer is to turn off enhanced across the platform.
And turn everybody down to a 1.4
right.
or
well,
a 4K 30 world.
You can still do, you can basically, yeah, because you're going to lose deep color.
Yep.
You're going to lose HDR or Dolby Vision.
Yep.
But you're going to be reliable.
Yes.
Now, that does not mean the picture's bad.
No.
It's still a great picture. And honestly, in most cases, dealers that have done this, their customers never noticed.
Yeah.
But they did it because the only way to make the cable box be reliable was to set everything at SDR.
Option number 2, get rid of the cable box. Honestly, it's getting pretty darn close to that point in time.
Yeah, because the app environment with Roku and Amazon and...
Yeah, it's already there. It's really getting to the point. Now, they still need to fix the problem where they don't have numbers anymore, because I really like typing in my numbers.
Annoying. Yeah,
but that's another
we
thing
both
entirely.
have that customer.
Yeah. So that's option number 2. Option 1, knock everything down to non-enhanced. Option number 2, get rid of the cable box. Get rid of the problem device that is not allowing the system to go to the
pretty
highest
much anything you
capabilities.
buy now.
Yeah.
Now, there are cable systems around the country.
Yep.
Xfinity.
Yep.
That is supporting 4K and HLG.
Yep.
However, they appear to have their own issues.
Yeah.
We're starting to get a lot of calls about Xfinity.
Yeah.
In fact, I would love to talk with some more Xfinity integrators.
If you are an Xfinity integrator, or better yet, if you have Xfinity in your own home as a dealer, give us a call at our tech support line 386-492-8584. We need to do some tests with some of our HDMI cables, some of our products with Xfinity products. So give us a call, and so that we can go ahead and see about maybe getting you in there, and you can give us a hand with that. We've already got one dealer that's helping us that is watching today right now. Which thank you. We are getting that worked out on our end to make sure that we can try that out. And then,
but different areas of the country have different firmware, so we would love your help.
Exactly. So, option number 3. Upgrade your AVR to something else that can actually have the independent controls.
Now,
pretty simple, right?
I think come 2021, everybody will offer it.
Yes, it's really heading in that direction. Option number 4, put our CS 1x2 splitter scaler
in the line
between that source device and the AVR.
Yes,
because
it will step it down.
It'll step it down. It'll make sure that it has the correct information going across it. It's going to handle it on its own. All you have to do is just basically set it to the, it'll be the auto EDID information, and then from there it'll take the source. Now, it's not going to scale it up. It doesn't do upscaling.
No, it just deals with the HDR metadata.
Exactly, so it'll handle it from there. That's one really easy way to handle that
and reasonably priced.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's see. I charge more to install Comcast. Better said, I charge more if you have Comcast. That's
really, we feel that way about DirecTV.
Yeah. that's a really good way of putting it, Leo. He said that I charge more if you have Comcast. Yeah. What other? Actually, that's a really good one. What other things have you all seen out in the field that you know walking into the job? I need to make sure that I have a little bit of a buffer of either labor hours or
hassle factor
money set aside specifically for that. Let us know over in the chat or over in the comment section what things you run into out in the field that you just need to make sure you have a buffer for.
And as we all know, as soon as the customer says this would be an easy fix.
Oh, sure it is. I charge for easy fixes. Actually, I have a charge.
This should take you no more than a minute or two.
Yeah. I have a minute or two charge for that. Okay, so that's honestly
EDID management. Now,
when it comes to the AVR, it's pretty straightforward.
What can we do in our matrix for EDID management?
Okay, so here's where we get into some really, really fun stuff. When it comes to the matrix, we actually have a lot that we can do. So our more advanced system, and actually this topic, there's a lot going on here. We're already at 45 minutes for this topic.
Holy cow, are we holding on to our people?
We're doing good. So
okay,
I just
then keep on rocking.
Yeah, no, we're still going to keep going. Inside the matrices, the advanced system setup. So let's say we still have all of our sources from the AVR, but now we have multiple displays. So on our multiple displays, we have our Samsung TV or Sony or LG. And let's do Sony and a Samsung, and we've got a couple of an LG or whatever else is going on there as well. Now, when we look at the problems with EDID, what kind of problems are we going to run into, Brent?
Well, first off, we have to be able to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. It's what I refer to as the what do you want for lunch syndrome.
Yeah.
What do you want? I don't know. McDonald's? Nah. Subway? Yeah, maybe. The correct answer is I'm doing this. Do you want to go with me?
Exactly. So, with those problems, what we're going to run into is the fact that maybe the Samsung TV or pardon me, let's put numbers to these TVs. TV 1, TV 2, TV 3. Okay, we've got 3 TVs. TV 1 says, well, I can do 4K 60 HDR, 420, 10-bit HDR, right? 10-bit. TV 2 says, well, I can do Dolby Vision. TV 3 says, what's HDR? Okay, so in those scenarios, we have our sources. We have our cable box, which again does not have HDR or HLG. We have our Apple TV that is fully capable
of many things.
We also have another Apple TV. It's the same. It's just another a second Apple TV, and then of course we have our Xbox. Okay, so how
did you get on that list?
Our Xbox.
Okay, because getting one of those ain't easy.
Yeah. But it's not this Xbox. It's just the Xbox One, which is over there. So
wow, just the Xbox One.
Just the Xbox One. So when we are dealing with this situation, what we're going to run into is like we were talking about with our splitter when we use the mixed mode, because the TV that says what's HR or HR. What's HR?
I know exactly what HR. You know it.
Well, you've had many visits with HR, right? So that TV says, what's HDR? Well, guess what? Now all the rest of the TVs say, what's HDR? Because we are now in a non-HDR system. So how do we combat that? Well, very simply, we go into our matrix that we have here. So this, of course, is our 8x8 quick switching matrix, which does not have HDR. We do have HDR, which does not have HD-based. Thank you. It does have HDR. This is a full 18 gig system. But both this one and the HD-based T version of it have the ability to control EDID for every single input.
And output?
No, just inputs. Inputs. So because the simple matter of the fact is that it doesn't matter for the outputs, because the TV is really what's
right.
saying what it's capable of doing. So the source then just gives it whatever it can. So with the inputs, we can say, okay, well, we have our cable box on input 1, we have our 2 Apple TVs on 2 and 3, and then we have our Xbox on input 4. That really nice Xbox, right?
That one?
Yeah, that one. Not that one, but that one, right? So, again, neener. Thank you, Metro. So... okay, nod.
Actually, we should say thank you to the guy that bought it out of his trunk.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so inputs 1 through 4. So what we can do, we have our 2 Apple TVs. Now, the cable box, we're going to very simply give it an EDID of 1080p. we're just going to say, hey, you are connected to a 1080p display. This matrix here has a total of 32 different EDID profiles.
32 or 37.
Something like that. But it also has the capabilities of copying one of the inputs.
And sharing it around.
And sharing it around. So, actually, it can copy any of the outputs that it has and share it around to any of the inputs. Again, it's a matrix. It can do that. So, when you are doing that, I'm just basically going to tell the cable box, hey, you are connected to a 1080p TV. Just give me 1080p, which is going to be the maximum of what you're able to do. Don't worry about HDR. What's HDR? Don't worry about 4K. What's 4K? It doesn't need it. It's not talking about that. It's just saying, hey, give me 1080p.
So we've stripped that language right out.
Exactly. So then on my second input, we have a 4K Apple TV. Now on that input, I'm going to say, hey, you are also connected to a 1080p TV because I have a TV that doesn't know HDR. Now, I could say, hey, you are connected to a 4K 30 TV, no HDR. And that way, that Apple TV won't even try to give me 4K 60 HDR. It's not even going to try. Or it may try because it's Apple TV and they're a pain in the butt sometimes, but the fact of the matter is it'll see that it's not connected to that and it'll revert back to it and not cause any more trouble. In most cases. Now, input 3 is the second Apple TV, and I'm going to say, hey, you, my friend, are connected to a 4K 60 HDR Dolby Vision television.
Rock on.
Rock on. Give me everything you possibly can, and we'll play with it later on. So, and then, of course, we have the Xbox on there. Now, the Xbox, we're going to do an Xbox One. We're going to say it's an Xbox One X, which is capable of 4K 60 HDR.
444, actually.
444, yeah.
But you don't really want to go
Not
there.
all at once. So again, we still have to go into the source device and say, hey, don't give me 444, just give me 4K 60 HDR 420. That way, we don't have to worry about the fact that we're going beyond the 18 gigs, right? So it still comes down to the fact that we have to go to the source device. So best practice in all of this is start with your display, work your way backwards to your source. And
which is how you troubleshoot.
Exactly. Make sure that everything is set to the EDID levels that everything else can use. Because if you're setting to a higher EDID level than something can't use, you're going to run into problems.
Now, on that note, because this is incredibly capable, let's say we have the 4K maxed out HDR, blah, 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 on the Apple TV going into this.
Yep.
Now, part of the problem is when you're dealing with 2.0 feature sets, when you go to a non-2.0A content provider,
yep,
this device may not step backwards. Same issue with the with the DirecTV.
Right.
Our matrices do have the ability to do a hot plug interrupt, which will force a reset and renegotiation on that source.
Right.
Which fixes that. That is a tremendous, lifesaver with EDID.
Yes. So when you are dealing with the matrices and you're running into hot plug issues, like Brent was saying, through the RS-232 and the telnet commands, the IP telnet commands, you can go ahead and actually open that hot plug connection and reclose it. That will force the system to renegotiate with the source and move on from there. So, and actually, it actually works on both the inputs and the outputs.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So the importance of EDID management, truthfully, when it comes down to it, when we look at troubleshooting, whenever we get a phone call for tech support, we get the phone call, and the first thing that we look at is the infrastructure. We look at how is everything laid out in your system. Because, truthfully, most problems happen inside the infrastructure. It's first the infrastructure. After the infrastructure, we're going to look at your EDID management. Because, truthfully, the next great majority of the problem that you're running into is your settings. It's not always that something is incompatible with something else. However, Brent,
it does happen.
It does happen, and we're running into it right now.
Yeah, the Xfinity.
Yeah. So with that said, then after all of that, then we'll say, well, maybe it isn't incompatible, and we need to look into some research and find out what the heck is happening.
And we do, and thank God to you dealers, because you guys really are the eyes and ears for us, because there's a lot of things we don't have Xfinity in our area.
Right.
Which puts us in a bind to solve this problem.
Yep.
But it's not just that. It's every day. You guys come across combinations we just cannot or haven't thought to recreate in the facility.
Right.
And the thing to remember is it's typically the little things.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, very often.
And I do have a tech support story for us this week.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and tell.
Are we there?
Yeah, I think we're there.
So Past weekend, I was down in
South Florida.
Delray Beach, South Florida, working on our CFO's son's house. We hung up really nice string LEDs all the way around the house. And these are the ones that got the big antique-looking bulbs in them. Hung them all the way around, 2 strings, taped it off, screwed everything up. It was beautiful.
Right.
Took out a light fixture, put in an outlet, put a cover on it, made sure everything's working great. It's all done. I plugged the lights in.
Nothing.
Nothing. It's like, now, being a typical integrator, my first thought is, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be me, right?
Right.
So I break out my meter, I check the outlet. No, I got 110. I checked the extension cord going over to the started light fixture.
Well,
I got 110.
Okay.
Maybe I've done something wrong and the meter's reading it. Maybe there's an issue.
Sure.
So I bring out a desk lamp. I plug it in. It works perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Well, maybe it's the second string.
Yep.
So I go down there, untape my waterproof connection, take everything, disconnect it because it's connected across the back of the house on a chain, plug in the extension cord, nothing. Into another outlet. I know this outlet works.
Right. Still nothing.
Still nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, now all the bulbs are screwed in.
Yep.
It's like, what? So I get the manual. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. Okay, maybe there's a secret switch or something I missed.
Sure.
So I'm looking to the manual. No. You get to troubleshooting. Plug in the wall. I did that. Make sure outlet's good. I did that. Is the bulb screwed in? It looks like it is, but you know,
Let's just try it.
let's just try.
And that's a really big thing, right? It looks like it's good.
Yeah,
It looks
so
like
I
it's
screw it.
good.
Behold, there was light. It was good. Now, I didn't screw the bulbs in.
Sure.
I can't take credit for that.
Sure.
That was my CFO,
Right.
who is a phenomenal numbers guy, brilliant man.
Yeah.
My own fault.
Sure.
I had him screw the bulbs in.
Sure.
Now, in defense of him, there was a water seal on the sockets.
Yeah.
So when you screw the bulbs in, it felt like
It was
the
seated.
bulb was in,
Yeah.
but you had to give it 3 more turns.
Yep. Yep.
But I mean, there was not a single one of the 48 bulbs
Yep. Yep.
lit.
So, moral of the story, if we say, hey, do us a favor,
Please check.
re-terminate those ends on that Cat5 connection, chop off the end of that RG6 and put another end on it. It's not because we don't think that you're capable. It's literally because
Shit happens.
it happens.
The other thing is, honestly, make sure the HDMI plug is fully inserted.
Yeah.
We've been down that road.
Yeah. Sometimes when we say, hey, do us a favor, unplug that HDMI cable and plug it back in, it's not because you need to, it's because we want to make sure it's plugged in all the way.
The secret to tech support.
Yeah, exactly. So, always check the connection. Leo says RTFM.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And you know, I am typical integrator.
Yeah.
No.
Do that absolute last after you call
Absolute
tech
last.
support, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for checking in with us today. It has been a blast. It's a really fun episode to do today. I've had a good time with it.
And what is next week?
So next week we are going to be talking about HDR. We kind of alluded to that earlier.
What's your title?
Next week is
Come on, you created the title.
Rudolph. Rudolph, your nose so bright. What is
HDR.
So meet with us next Wednesday. We'll be talking
It'll
about
be a math
HDR.
class.
A lot of math. Lots and lots of math. And in fact, logarithmic math and gamma scales and
Color. We're gonna
color,
discuss.
depth,
We're gonna
and
talk about
bits and-
bits and math and color quantities, and
Yeah.
the whiteboard's gonna get a workout.
It's gonna, yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be
I'm
a lot.
excited.
So guys, thank you for checking in with us as always. It's been great. If you have questions or ideas about what you want us to talk about on another episode, or if you have questions about what we talked about today, if it's after the fact, put it down in the comment section. If you're still here as we're talking and you can catch us before we end, you can put stuff over here in the chat. Everybody who was in the chat, it's great to see you as always. The experts and Leo, it's always good to see you.
And of course, you can always call us.
Yep, you can call us at 386
Step back and let everybody see your numbers.
492-8584. It's right here next to the Xbox Series X. That's right
Is that the brand spanking
That's the
new
new
Xbox
Xbox
Series
Series
X 1 terabyte drive with?
Neener.
Go ahead, you want to fondle it? I know you do.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, or you can of course email us. My name is Adam. So you can email me at adamr@metrahometheater.com. That's METRA. And of
I'm
course
Brent M.
Brent M at metrohometheater.com. And of course you can call him at 866-839-9187 extension
2203.
So everybody, thank you for checking in with us today. As always, Brent, what do we need to do?
Send me money.
Well, okay. You already have too much. Stop.
Don't cut your wires too short.
Reboot early, reboot often. Don't cut your wires too short. Turn off CEC.
And call tech support.
And call tech support. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all next time. I'm Adam.
We're out of here.
Have a good one.